morning, everyone, and thank you for joining us for another Sales and Marketing Friday Talks. Every second Friday, we share insights, best practices, and anecdotes from technology companies. And today's topics is around LinkedIn. And LinkedIn, indeed, is the best place to meet and engage B2B audience. But same time, we have heard a lot of questions about how to really build a solid strategy around the LinkedIn, how to make it really work in the long run and the short run as well. So, and how to make all these efforts profitable in the end of the day. So therefore, for this episode of the Friday Talk, we invited Katherine. She is a LinkedIn marketing manager at HTT Pool, and she will just, I think, introduce herself in few seconds. But I think it's a great opportunity really to learn from Katherine, because she has been working with a lot of different clients all around Europe, and mainly, from the fintech and technology industry. And I believe that it will be super valuable for us all to hear from her all the best practices and ways of really leveraging LinkedIn properly for your B2B activities. So therefore, I also encourage you to be active and ask your questions through the commenting part. Otherwise, welcome, Katherine.
Welcome.
Thank you, guys. Nice to be here. And so let me then quickly give a background of myself. So I work for HTT Pool. This is a company of Aleph Group, and we are authorized partner of largest social media platforms like Meta, Snapchat, Twitter, LinkedIn, and more. And our mission is to help grow our clients' businesses across these digital platforms. And myself, I represent LinkedIn Global Performance Team, which means that we are helping companies from Central and Eastern Europe to scale their business globally across LinkedIn platform through LinkedIn marketing solutions. And as you already mentioned, our main focus is fast-growing companies, as well as startups, mainly fintech, software, IT, pharma, manufacturing, and so on.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah. Thanks again for joining us today. And I think just to kick off the conversation, could you maybe just help us to understand what are the main building blocks for the LinkedIn strategy?
Okay, great. So LinkedIn we take as a main B2B platform. So people come to LinkedIn with already mindset to do business. So they come here to whether learn from the peers or industry leaders, whether to find opportunities for their business or for their personal development and career. So the building blocks would be first to think about your business page as your virtual business card. Make sure it's fully completed and it's correctly completed. Because, sometimes I see there are, for example, fintech company that is marked as marketing, or maybe your business side is not marked correctly. So you will help for other companies who want to target with their offers to target you correctly, and as well to help LinkedIn algorithms to sort and kind of help with the reach. Another thing you can use as well, of course, you check all the parts, which is like profile picture, descriptions. Make sure when people land on your page, it's crystal clear. What are you offering? What is your solution? What is your product? Often I see, for example, for tech companies who offer several services or product which are targeted for different auditories, I would suggest to use affiliate or showcase pages. So actually it's very clear. Okay, if, for example, your IT service provider who focus on Teams implementation, Dynamics implementation, and some IP customized solutions. So make sure you kind of differentiate, because these will be 3 different auditories you will talk. So as well, you can build this. So you can communicate.
Does it mean, so basically, if you think, you know, for the first like main step is to make sure that you are represented on LinkedIn correctly. So through the company page, right? So that you have it nicely, you know, crafted. You have clear information about what you do, you know, and so on and so forth. That would be first step. But secondly, then you suggest to use a separate like this product pages, or how what is the name of that? You said
was it showcase?
Showcase pages,
so it's
right?
Showcase pages. It's not for all times. It's for the more complex. Like if you have several services, like, you know, don't maybe try to throw everything in one page if you offer, like, as I mentioned, from Teams, Dynamics, and your custom solutions. So try to make it a nice, clear structure as well. And as well, don't kind of leave it static, like, you know, you have a nice cover banner. So I see as a good practice to use it for most actual information. Maybe you are hiring, put it there. Maybe you have an event coming, so put it there. So, and use it interacting. And then, of course, we come to content, which is the king, not only on LinkedIn, but on all social media platforms. So make sure your content is relevant and buyer-centric. Like, you know, make sure you explain what are you doing, what value you bring to people there. Keep it consistent. And this is, like, you know, this is very important as well. Of course, it's suggested to use visuals, like pictures, like videos. So it's more interesting for an eye. And keep in mind that most of the LinkedIn users as well might be scrolling on the phones, so sometimes without sound. So if you launch some video, make sure you put subtitles, so actually it's clear what you're saying. And for the organic, like, you know, the focus is to kind of grow your follower base by sharing this value content. And we usually introduce for the clients who just started this 3-2-1 rule, which is basically on each hard sales post you make, you do 2 posts about your values, mission, culture, maybe share your team, maybe they want to, like, you know, tell some story about your company. So you make it more human, because at the end of the day, these are people who are looking at your page. And then as 3, you acting as a trendsetter or industry leader. So make sure you post relevant information from your industry. Maybe your CEO or VP can share a thought of leadership. It's like, you know, people come to your page to actually learn from the experts. So this is the place where you already organically build all the presence and use, for example, as well, be mindful. Like, you know, if you maybe lack ideas what to share, LinkedIn offers like content suggestions that you can see. You can as well utilize hashtags. When it comes to hashtags, less is more. It's actually more and more emphasized. Follow maybe 2, 3. Don't go for 5, 10, 11. Make it maybe more general and one very specific.
Yeah, sometimes you see like even several lines of the hashtags people are adding. I don't know what is the reason behind.
And here's an announcement from people behind Fright Talks. Please make sure one of those few hashtags you follow is indeed hashtag Fright Talks, because that means you will never miss anything related to Fright Talks.
Thank you. And what I also noticed, maybe as a trend, it was interesting because you just mentioned about this content and rule, what you need to follow. I remember like LinkedIn a few years back when you joined, it was mainly just a business network where you connect with people whom you met somewhere or anything similar, because just to keep in touch, right? So that in case if you need sometimes to find the person, you can find it on the LinkedIn. Nowadays, what I see has happened in the last probably 12 or 18 months. The amount of content has significantly increased. I don't have exact statistics, but what I see that there are much more people who started to share really like useful information, both the original one created by them, or they bring insights from outside. And for me, as a marketing and sales professional, it's very valuable, because I really learn a lot from these influencers, if I may. But what I see same time, that in the IT industry, very rarely you can really see people actively sharing. There are some good examples, especially those who are like technical people. They are sharing some updates on products or services from different vendors. It's very useful. But in general, the audience is pretty silent. The like probably most common thing what you can see is people are sharing badges, so that they have earned some particular, like, I don't know, badge or certification or anything like that. That's so common. But otherwise, still, there is a lot of room to take, actually, if you think of leading this industry and this community, to start actually bringing the insights, to start bringing content, and I'm sure that it will be appreciated.
And I see two kind of trends here. The first thing is, I believe with the COVID and restrictions of moving and participating on the events and I don't know, conferences, of course, all this kind of attention and buzz is taken to now the social media platforms, especially to LinkedIn. So, you know, you cannot participate in conferences and events. You most likely will start to publish these insights and start to build communities online. So we actually were forced to do it. And when it comes to kind of shyness, or like, you know, you said like people are not very keen to share, I think it's somehow as well still Central and Eastern Europe mentality. Because if you look in the companies and trends in US, they are more keen to share their knowledge. And I think we're going to learn and learn and learn more and more. Because, you know, like, you know, we always think that maybe there's nothing special, or I think we're going to learn it. And I think the new generation...
I think it's also, you know, because of the other reason, it's quite an effort. If you really want to start doing it on regular basis, then you have to allocate time for that. And I think many people just, you know, they are so occupied with the core responsibilities of driving business or sales or anything else, that they somehow, you know, overlook the LinkedIn opportunity, or would it be any other social platform. But I personally believe that it also can create a significant impact for you as an individual, as well as for you as a company, as a brand. But let's continue maybe with these building blocks of the LinkedIn strategy. So we talked about establishing your brand, establishing your company on LinkedIn with help of the company page and showcase pages. But then the question, and what we often hear from companies coming to us saying, hey, I need B2B leads. Let's do some LinkedIn campaign. I have, you know, this €1,000. Let's generate something. And what would be the best approach of, you know, really starting generating business from LinkedIn?
Okay, so just a one step back. So before you kind of say you're ready to kind of invest in paid LinkedIn marketing solutions, so make sure you already start to grow your follower page. As a best practice is that we suggest to have at least 500 followers. So, you know, you also have a higher reach. But in some cases, like, you know, the fast growing startups, they say, hey, we need it now. For that, you can utilize as well your employees, like to still organically do everything parallel. So this is what we say. It's always on approach for organic. So whatever you do for paid, don't forget your organic. And you as well mentioned, like, you know, the effort companies need to put into to advertise and create these content. I think it's a good kind of reminder to maybe business owners that it is an investment and you need to have allocated resources to create content, to manage content, to have a budget, and so on. So before you step in advertising on LinkedIn, make sure you have already, like, you know, very clear go-to-market strategy. You are kind of clear of your KPIs. So what I often see is that client comes, they maybe don't even have a clear idea which one of products they want to advertise to whom, like, you know, but there's like, okay, I want to generate leads, like, you know, but lead generation means that you are actually trying to convert someone now. So you can do it with people who are already to make decision. But I recognize that the majority people on LinkedIn or your audience, even 99, does not have the intent at the moment. So, and for that segment, the best option is to execute the marketing or demand generation. So this is where we actually step in, and you need to make sure you allocated your budget and your resources and your effort accordingly, and heavy focus on marketing or demand generation rather than jump right away into the leads.
And here I would like just maybe to pause as well and to add, because it sounds so familiar to us. We have been talking about this go-to-market strategy and the customer or buyer journey type of thing few times already, and I think it still needs explanation and needs changes in the mindset of many of us, because you cannot generate leads if people are not ready to buy or not ready to engage with you. And somehow this is completely often kind of misunderstood and actually not part of the overall plan and investments and execution. And therefore, you cannot really see a good outcomes of your investments, would it be in LinkedIn or anything else. And I think you mentioned the organic and the importance of organic. I think, again, just purely think from this very practical aspect. When your ad is shown to somebody and people see the company name, but they don't recognize it whatsoever. They don't know, okay, what this company is from, what they do offer, and so on and so forth. So what do you expect them to do? So they probably scroll further and they ignore it. The same, they simply see, okay, and I often also see somebody really advertise to me something, but I see they have, I don't know, 12 followers or 100 followers. And I simply do not perceive them as a serious player here, because if they are so small with the presence here, so can I really trust and engage with them? Just think of these small things as well, how your potential customers will evaluate your brand when you will go and invest into the paid media. So therefore, it's very, very important to really make sure that your organic presence is strong enough. And I know that Roland actually has a very good advice on how you can grow company follower number very practically.
Well, yes, if you ask me, make sure that people on your team are also admins of your LinkedIn page, because admins get credits to invite their own contacts, right? And very often, if just being a few people on startup team, if everybody invites their contacts to follow page, I mean, within months you can get hundreds of followers without anything else except, of course, your own effort.
Yeah, this is a very good tip. Again, typically, personally, we all own much wider network of contacts or connections on LinkedIn than the company page, right? And the easiest way and the fastest way for you to just improve this number, start inviting your connections, as Roland explained.
Very good point.
Let's move on.
Yes. So basically, then, to cut it short, so we suggest to mainly and firstly focus on building the brand awareness. And this is where you educate your clients about who you are, what pain you are solving, what value are you bringing. And you want to make sure it's going to show multiple times with a good frequency, because, you want to kind of be seen and be there for the moment when clients are already kind of engage, or maybe like, something clicked. So, and for awareness, we as well suggest kind of, if you have, for example, 1,000 budget, invest for the beginning like 60% and make it like, consistent. Put it on always on, like, don't like, if your sales cycle is from 6 to 12 months, don't expect like in 2 weeks you come to LinkedIn and you will generate leads, or, so you need to make sure all these 6 to 12 months you are actually visible. And then once your target audience is already kind of warmed up, you start to already engagement and invest in consideration campaigns. You share valuable content. Maybe you invite for events, you share your white papers, downloads, and so on. So actually they already can find out something specific for them. What we suggest as a good practice, for example, if you run for awareness video, which can be very simplified. We don't need a cameras and all crew. Make it a simple graphic that explains about you. Then you can as well, and the next step, already retarget your video viewers based on how long they spend watching your video, and already tailor a very specific message. Okay, this person show interest in my video, so I already can talk with him about maybe scheduling some, I don't know, next step, invite them to event, or maybe I can share this white paper for them. And then already when you have targeted them with already specific message, you narrow your kind of target audience. And then as a next, we even say like, the 10%, then you go into the lead generation or web conversions, like, you drive traffic to web or generate leads with very specific already offer to people who already make decision, not like, those who just saw your ad and so on. So I think the relevancy here is key. This is the main kind of practice, but I want to highlight as well, if you have very niche product, which is very greatly explained, if you go to your website, the purchase process is very short. I have experienced that clients go right away to conversation ads or lead generation and actually have a good result, but it's so like their audience is very narrow and the need in market is huge. So when they flag or show their product, clients is like, yeah, let's do the demo. And then I think they can close the sales in 2 weeks. So the sales process is very short. So they can afford such thing. If you're very complex in the way how you offer your service, if it's very customized, make sure you will speak in engaging with the client.
Yes. Look, you have plenty of experience working across many countries. You probably know what are most frequent and the worst mistakes somebody could make in terms of LinkedIn and LinkedIn advertising. What would be your advice? What mistakes should companies try to avoid?
Okay, so the first, I will go back to, it's a short-term approach. So make sure LinkedIn is a long-term relationship. Like, you're going to be there, you're going to invest there, and so on. Generating leads with the cold audiences as well. We just touched, like, you want to make sure you talk with people when they're ready, and don't expect that people are browsing with already need to get your product or service, but actually you prepare them to the moment when they will be ready. Another thing, I think people come to us sometimes with not clear or realistic KPIs and go-to-market strategy. So as I said, sales cycle is 6 to 12 months, but I want to generate leads in 2 weeks. So, and sometimes we even discover what are their KPIs through the first campaigns. Like, we test, we see actually what is the engagement, how people react, and so on. And as well, people come to LinkedIn with too small budgets, or maybe for the beginning, they target too narrow audiences. So suggestion is to bid higher in the beginning to spread your message and you advertise across as wide audience as possible, and then narrow it down. Like, you know, you will start to do the A/B testing. You start to see who are the people who engage, what is the response, then to start to do adjustment. Sometimes people come with 1,000 budget and they are disappointed after 1 week that they burn it down and there were no kind of response. But actually, like, you know, LinkedIn has this estimation tool, so you can actually see, like, you know, how big will be the reach, what are the estimated results, and it depends on industry, on the market, but make sure you allocate a decent budget. As you know as well, LinkedIn is not cheapest platform, is probably known as most expensive. However, you get the highest quality leads because people are there with the mindset to do business. You're not gonna target 12-year-old on their mobile phone scrolling Facebook, like, so you kind of aware of it.
Yeah, but you know about the cost. I can tell you from our experience that it's not always true that LinkedIn is the most expensive, and I think you have to evaluate it from different perspectives. And one of that is that we have been running campaigns on different channels like Facebook, Google, and LinkedIn. And yes, when you evaluate the cost, like per, I don't know, click or cost per lead, what you are paying, it might be higher. But the thing is that this is not the right way of looking at the result. You need to look at actually end result, okay? How much actually the real opportunity, or even better, the win of the customer cost for me, and from each channel it came. And then if you look at it from that perspective, you clearly see that LinkedIn actually can, you know, do much better than any other channel in some cases, but not necessarily always as well, because we also have experience when Facebook is bringing very, very strong performance, or LinkedIn. It very much depends whom you are targeting, at what stage you are targeting people, and so on and so forth. Also, geography-wise, what we have learned that it very much depends. So there are even some geographies and the same segments within the geographies where you can still, on very reasonable cost, get very good quality leads for you. So I think it's worth experimenting and evaluating, as you said, based on the KPIs, based on the different other perspectives.
Yes, but it's important not to rush making decisions, because just how much lead costs indeed means very little. You need to spend a bit of time until your sales have actually reached out, and until they can say, okay, is it actually quality leads or not? Because after a while, your initial impression of them may change quite radically, quite radically.
It's true. And in LinkedIn, we say, like, you know, people come sometimes like, hey, can you give us estimates? And we always say it depends. It depends on the location. It depends on the industry, you know, and we can do all the best job. But if you are not ready, like, you know, if you haven't decided and kind of shaped, like, you know, what is your advantage against your competitors, how you're going to position yourself, you haven't created maybe some content, like, you know, it's many things, and even how your sales and marketing teams collaborate, so they actually sales pick up when people are ready and show interest. Like, you know, there are so many things, and we can share best practices. There are like mainstream kind of things and tendencies we see. But so many times we learn from our clients who actually said, hey, you suggested us to use this and this, but actually we noticed that in this region, this picture worked less than this. So it's always a learning process.
Yes.
Very good.
Can you talk a bit about, sorry, can you talk a little bit about how to approach international markets? Because very often a question we get from our own clients is to give them recommendations about localization. Obviously, localizing to local languages costs some money, but what's your take on that? Are people happy with information, let's say, in big languages such as English, or still it's always better to localize down to every country you are running advertising in?
So it's again depends. So for IT industry, because it's very English driven, we see many clients do and run English ads on multiple geographies, where it as well, we see there is very significant kind of differences in markets, like, for example, in Polish. Like, Poland, they would prefer to receive the ads in Polish. As well, there is one of the most expensive regions in Europe, which is DACH region, which is like Switzerland, Austria, Germany. Yeah. They would prefer as well kind of go with a German language. However, it depends, and it can be different on different industries. Pharma, for example, or some manufacturing would go maybe with German, when IT would go with English. Here as well, your product. Set maybe some budget aside. If you see your campaign is not performing, maybe try the local language. And sometimes we as well see English audience might reach wider audience than the people who have chosen to use LinkedIn on their local language. It's worth to test. We would say, like, a different markets might have a different. Yeah.
Very good. As time is running up and we need to wrap up, I just was wondering, because among our listeners probably there are not also very big companies, and in the end they have some limited budget, and this budget is maybe in the range of, I don't know, 1,000 or couple of thousand euro, and where you need to achieve still like some business results. Just to summarize, maybe, what would be your recommendation? Like, if you have this limited budget and you want really to get some leads, what would be the best mix for investing this money?
So the first thing is to invest in person who can actually manage all of it. So there is someone who creates this content and manage as as well, engage with the people who respond to your content. When it comes to paid ads, you already have do as much as you can already for the organic, as we discussed, grow your follower base and so on. And then make sure, if you want to invest money, so go for some specific offer, or really what pain I'm going to solve to you or to my clients, or what value I will bring to my clients. So advertise on this, spend, as an example, it's not set in stone, 60% on awareness, then 20% invest in engagement, already work with clients who already show some interest, retarget them, retarget with already very specific message. And maybe if you feel you can skip engagement part, go right with lead generation or website conversation. Make sure if you bring them to website, it's very crystal clear what are you offering, or make this customer journey very as short as possible. So they land on your page, there's better offer, or book a demo or something, call to action that actually will help you convert already in the sales lead.
Okay. Very good. Thank you, Katherine, for coming today and sharing with us your insights and knowledge. I hope that audience also liked it. So therefore, please continue commenting and continue sharing your own maybe best practices. I think it's worth continuing this conversation anyhow. Otherwise, what I would also encourage you and ask you to do, follow please our company, ibd-consulting, and hashtag #FryTalks on LinkedIn. If you also would like to listen this as a podcast, we have all the versions of our previous episodes always available on the major podcast platforms. And if you like it, please also rate, so that we can see and feel your feedback. And that's very important for us. We would appreciate very much this feedback and your comments. And if you have any idea on what needs to be discussed in the upcoming events, please feel free to ping us. Otherwise, thank you again, Katherine, for coming and sharing. Thank you all for being with us today, this Friday. We will be back in 2 weeks again, and looking forward for our next discussion. Thank you.
Thank you, guys. Have a nice Friday.